I was the first man on Omaha Beach. Looked down that beach. The water was red, flapping up against the sand. No telling how many got killed out in that ocean, and there was dead bodies everywhere. A shell had hit in my foxhole and knocked this kid's head plumb off. I couldn't even tell what he looked like. I had my pistol loaded with a hammer back and my hand on that trigger on that M1. And there was 3 of them. I knew I could get 2 of them, but I didn't know about that other. There was one during that winter when everything was so cold. It was raining, sleeting, and snowing, going into battle, and there'd been a company of some kind already fought there, and I guess we was going there to help them. And I seen wounded soldiers, sit down by a tree and freeze to death. Nobody there to help them, Just absolutely freeze to death. Be icicles hanging on them. When you're 18, 19 years old, that's kind of hard to take. And there was a German behind it, and he had his rifle pointing right at my belly. And the Germans had caught him, I guess, and they had put rope around the back of their head, into their mouth, and drug them to death. I looked them all over. They wasn't wounded nowhere, but they drug them until they killed them. That's the thing about the SS troopers. This is a Purple Heart with a cluster from being wounded twice. It ain't hard to remember, it's hard to tell it. I got a call from the Army when I was in high school, and Dad went down and got me deferred for a month so I could finish school. And I never was very smart. But anyway, I was 18, and I had a good girlfriend. We wanted to get married, but I told her that we wouldn't until I got back, and I knew that I already had a call to the Army, and that I was either going to France or to Japan, and I didn't want her to be a widow at 19, so we didn't get married. Well, when I got on the big ship in New York City, and I didn't want to go. I went over and looked over the side of that ship, and I could see that the shore was right there. Well, like I had swam along a lot of times that far. And I just thought to myself, I'm going to get off of this thing going far enough. But I looked at that water, and it was full of ice and dirty as you could see. So I decided better stay on that ship. And they sent me on to England. I don't know exactly where, but we were close to a big prison called in the Moors, they called it. And we had to march around that big prison, and we took training there for the invasion. We got on landing crafts, and they had a beach they called Slapped in the Sand, and we attacked it. And every time I got in one of those landing crafts, I got seasick. I wasn't no sailor. I got seasick going across the ocean. They'd put me on KPs, but I'd be sick. But the morning of the invasion, they gave us all a sack so we didn't have to put our heads over side, I never got a bit sick. I can't tell you the difference, but I never got sick. First night we were there, we hadn't even we just got off of the ship and was taking us somewhere, and they had an air raid. All of these air raid sirens went off. They took us down into a basement, and when they dropped them bombs, you could hear them going. Well, they had what they called a buzz bomb. I guess it had a motor on it, because as long as you could hear that motor, you was all right. But when it quit, you knew that thing was coming down. And when them bombs hit, you could nearly see them walls come in. They shook the whole thing, made them dust everywhere. That's the way they broke me in on first night I was in England. I was assigned to the 29th Division, the 116th Infantry, as a replacement. I was in the war cutting section. In fact, I was leading the war cutters. We had what they called a Bangalore torpedo that was about 6 foot long and about 3 inches or something like that around. It had amytal in each end and dynamite in the middle. Amytal is a lot stouter than dynamite, so when we set it off, why, it blew the wire. That's the way we cut the wire. Anyway, why, that's what I trained for in England, was to blow the wire. Well, June the 5th, we were heard there was when we were supposed to land it on June the 5th. And we were all ready. We had everything. Then they had ready to put us on a ship. And I don't think that we got on it. We got on it sometime that day, because they water was so rough that they wouldn't land. And we stayed all night on that ship. The next morning they fed us beans for breakfast. I thought that was kind of peculiar. Got time to go, why, we went over the side and went down netting that looked like rope ladders, but a lot of them. Sometimes the old water was so rough that we'd be way out away from the ship, and then we'd be against it. But anyway, I went down that, and I had to get in the landing craft first, because I was in the wire cutting section. I was the leader of the wire cutters. And that's the reason that I know what to cross the beach first. I got off of the boat first with 5 men behind me. We was all carrying what they called Bangalore torpedoes. And when I went across the beach carrying it, I was loaded. Had it, my pack, my rifle, enough rations for 3 days. And when I got to the sand, going across the beach, there was this machine gun hitting the ground right in front of me, kicking up dirt right about 3 foot in front of me. And I couldn't go back. I had to go forward. There wasn't no place else to go. But he never did raise it high enough to hit me. And when we got across the sand then, why, there wasn't anything to get behind except where the water had washed up against the shore and left about a foot, and we kind of got down behind that. And the pillboxes was shooting at us. And we had nothing to knock them out with. All we had was an M1 rifle and a few hand grenades, and we throwed the hand grenades trying to throw them into the pillboxes, but little old holes you had to throw through. We didn't get many of them in there. So anyway, why, we were pretty well hung up. We fought the Germans on the bank, and we had them whipped, but we couldn't go on account of the pillboxes. The boat that I landed on, the landing craft, there was me and 5 men got off of it, and a shell hit it and killed the rest of them. We were the only 5 that got off of it. A lot of us didn't land where we were supposed to, and we were one of them. But anyway, why, there wasn't anything to get behind but where this water had lapped up against it, had about a foot, and we were down behind that, laying on our bellies in the water, shooting at these soldiers on the bank. And that's just the way it happened. What we didn't kill, we run off. And I'm not going to tell you I killed any, because I don't talk about that. But I will tell you this. I was a good soldier, and I could hit what I shot at. And I shot a wash tub full of ammunition. And I still don't know, not going to tell you I shot any of them, but you know whether I did or not.
That concludes part 1 of the interview with World War II veteran Bill Parker. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be among the first to watch the next episode, where we'll delve deeper into his experience and the pivotal moments that shaped his life during the war.